I'm back, and in this fourth video I'd like to talk about the supply chain implications of a revenue-neutral, dramatic increase in the excise tax on gasoline. And to do that, I put together this chart which outlines that supply chain. At the top of the chart, we have an integrated oil company like ExxonMobil. You may have heard of them. They recently reported profits of $41 billion last year, the highest ever earned by a corporation. Below the integrated oil company, we have OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And in fact, OPEC typically applies an export tax on every barrel of oil which leaves their country. That oil, as it leaves, goes to a refinery. And the refineries, in fact, upgrade that oil into higher value products like lubricants, solvents, asphalt, and gasoline. The gasoline makes its way through the channel of distribution to your local gas station. And at the gas station, in fact, the government of the consuming area typically applies an excise tax already, money which they use to fund the building and maintenance of local roads. And at the bottom of the chain, of course, is us, the consumers, who, in fact, are the ones left to face the supply and demand curves we talked about in video 3, the supply and demand curve for gasoline. And in fact, every day have to make decisions. How much of my hard-earned money am I going to use today to buy that precious and expensive commodity? Now the question we have to answer is, who in this channel has the power? I would say for the last 35 years, it's been these OPEC nations which have the power. OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, those few countries around the world which produce more oil than they need and hence export it to other countries around the world. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, etc. And in fact, in the early 70s, those countries got together and formed a cartel where they were able to collude on oil supply and price, meaning make one cooperative decision rather than several independent suppliers. It is, by the way, illegal for companies in North America to collude on price. In our capitalistic system, we think competition is the best thing for the marketplace. On the other hand, there's no international police force to stop OPEC from doing exactly that. And in fact, they've been very successful at doing that, having raised the price of oil from $2 a barrel in the 70s to most recently $100 a barrel. Now, are these OPEC countries democracies? No. And do they spend the billions of petrodollars that they earn to improve the welfare of the population of the world? No. And do they spend the money to improve the welfare of their own citizenry? No. They typically spend it to build indoor ski hills in deserts or build opulent palaces. They're not charitable countries like we are in North America. They don't rush to the aid of other countries around the world who are struck by natural disasters like tsunamis or earthquakes, or by famine or disease or war. In fact, I'm tired of being at the whims and wishes of OPEC oil ministers. It's time that the government of the consuming region got more of that tax revenue from the sale of gasoline so that we could use it for better purposes. Is it possible for us to have that power? Yes, it absolutely is. We need only grab it by applying a revenue-neutral, dramatic increase in the excise tax on gasoline. We are, after all, the final player in this channel. And if you've ever played cards, you'll understand the advantage of being the last to play. Let us grab that power by taxing the consumption of gasoline. On the other hand, revenue neutral. Remember, the increased tax dollars we earn from the sale of gasoline, we're going to use it to eliminate some other taxes like sales taxes or goods and services taxes. If many regions around the world adopted this policy, watch the price of oil plunge on world markets. Gone would be the days of $100 a barrel oil. Rather than oil shortages and lineups at the pump, the world would be awash with oil. The amount produced would exceed the demand, and in fact, oil prices would plunge. We in North America would be less worried about the effect that hurricanes or refinery fires or pipeline breaks or harsh winters would have on our oil supply. So you think about that, and I'll be back.